everybody, this is Modesta from Modesta.Africa. I'd like to speak to the entrepreneurs or the nonprofit leaders that are wondering, how do we communicate the fact that we're under-resourced right now to our teams? I recently had this question in a Q&A and I've created a post for it. Honestly, this is a time of tension, it's a time of instability, and it's affecting everybody. So the first thing I would say to you is just be honest, be humble, and be ready to stand as a leader and lead your people and your organization through this transition. So I've listed down, let me just make sure I've got this right, 5 points, and I go into a little bit of detail on these 5 points of what you can do, how you can communicate the fact that you are under-resourced and that there will have to be adjustments for your organization. How do you communicate that to your team? So the first thing is really be informed about the details. It's not enough to say things are bad. Things are really bad for us right now. What specifically is bad? What has gone wrong? Which area specifically is being affected? Which people specifically are being affected? To what extent are we being affected? What does that then mean? What are the implications? Does that mean that we have less of a budget? How much less of a budget? What then will it be able to take care of? For how long? If that means that there will be an adjustment of people, if that's restructuring and some people lose their jobs, which departments are involved, what roles specifically. The more specific you are initially before you even communicate, the better. So get specific on how much you're short of, so that you can then let other people know, and what is being adversely affected, which departments, which areas, what are the implications, whether that is organizational change, whether that's legal or it's financial, reputational. What do you foresee as a leader being the implications of the fact that you're currently going through a shaking, you're under-resourced, and changes have to be made? The second thing is, in being honest and being open, I wouldn't leave anybody out. I will call an entire organization meeting if possible. I remember one of my clients, 15 or so years ago, is a Pan-African bank that was in my country, Tanzania, and he called an entire team meeting. The entire organization came in and said, look, this is what the outlook is. We are in the red in ways I cannot tell you. This is what's being affected. These are some of the things that we could explore doing. This is the difference it may make, but for this amount of time, this is what it's going to mean. But I am saying to you, as their leader, as your leader, I will do everything in my capacity to get us to this place by this time. So call an entire whole team meeting. Be humble the whole time when you're communicating. Understand, you're never just speaking to the individual, you're speaking to everybody that is dependent on them. So you're speaking to people's spouses and children and family members, etc. So be conscious of the fact that what you may be communicating as a motivator, as maybe something that you think would sway them a certain way, may not necessarily be so, because they're motivated by things you may not even know of. So you're speaking to them and everybody that they're responsible for. Inform them now what you have just done the research on, number one, right? Get into the details and be truthful. So what does this really mean? What has gone wrong where? What is being affected? Who is going to be affected by that? What are the mitigation interventions? I would like to know that you're actually doing something. What have you done? Have you done as a leader all that you can do to salvage the situation? Have you done all that you can do as a leader to address these issues? Mention where you need help. This would be a good time. So it's not like, oh, doom and gloom and what are we going to do? But mention where you also need support. Mention the kind of support. If there are departments and units that you can mention by name that you will need support. What specifically do you need them? Need from them? And then invite people to respond. People will respond emotionally, others will fear, others will maybe calm. Expect that. If you can go into this meeting with support, whether that's human resources, if they actually are support. If they're not, is it somebody that represents the unions, or somebody yet still that they see as a peer leader? Go in with them, make sure you've briefed them before, and get a conversation started. First of all, Allow people to respond as their, as they feel best for them. And then invite them to also chip in on what they think about some of the proposed strategies. Maybe you could give broad strategies of how to get out of the fact that the organization is going through a shaking and you're currently under-resourced and you need to change things. And then people can come with ideas. Write down absolutely every idea. Recap what the solutions were proposed, the ideas that came in, and cluster them maybe. If you see overarching thematic ideas coming in, cluster them. And together agree on next step actions and what you expect to be the outcome of this meeting when you're done. Hey Bella, welcome. Where appropriate, you can even form task forces to support this transition as you're going through the transition. Number 3, take action on what you've agreed. If things are rough right now in the organization and you need to help people through transition, don't just get to know just how bad it is and who's going to be affected and call everybody in, look, let's come up with a solution, etc., and then you don't do anything about it. Take action on what you agree to address so that people can trust that, you know what, they're not in control of what's happened at the moment. We are where we are, and as the leader, if you've said, I am doing my utmost, this is what can be salvaged, and be truthful. My African brothers and sisters, this is a cultural thing. Sometimes we would rather be nice than be truthful. And we mislead people into thinking things are better than they truly are. Or we mislead people into thinking that their position is a lot more secure than it really is. Be truthful about what the changes are, about the implications of the shaking or being under-resourced, and what that means. And then take action on what it is that you had said at the meeting that you would take action on. Number 4, communicate status updates fully, truthfully, and often. Many times people become a lot more understanding when they're up to date, when they don't keep coming back to you and asking you, where are we on that? So after you spoke to them, then what happened? What did they say now? So you preempt that, you get at the front end of that, and you communicate as fully, truthfully, and as often as you can, because tensions are already high. Times, of shaking, whether it's times of COVID or whatever else your organization is facing, you want to communicate as often as possible that as leadership, we're on top of this, I am on top of this, and doing my utmost. If a chosen course of action that you had agreed on with your team isn't working, then you say, so we've done this, these are the outcomes so far, whether you're calling a meeting again to pivot or you're communicating to them what you're doing differently. Allow people to see as a leader that you're doing your utmost, because I have personally been in situations and have seen other leaders in situations where they're giving everything except their blood. They're giving absolutely everything. And even, at times even compromising, and their families go without. That, they go without so that they can take care of the team and the organization. But because you don't communicate, people have no idea. They're thinking you're up there, you're living it up, you're doing whatever it is you want, and they're bearing the brunt of whatever changes that have happened, whatever transition. So make sure you communicate fully, that you communicate truthfully, and you communicate often. And then number 5, this is really key. Make sure there's a support system for you and them so that you can remain positive, productive, and progressing forward. So whether you need, like I said before, to get a partner when you're going into meetings with the team, to get somebody else that they trust, or whether it's somebody internally or getting an external professional that can be trusted, that can be objective, that is not just trusted and objective, that is actually qualified, right? Experienced in handling transitions and change management, or whatever the transition that's happening in the organization that has people nervous and not at ease. Create an environment where people can both air their views and feel that they are heard, but also so that that relieves tension. Don't be a source of even worsening situation than it is. Please be the centered calm that your team needs right now. Even if you're also stressing, you can say, I feel this, I'm going through this, but I'm giving you my word. I'm standing on all that, can be done within reason, all that can be done according to what we had agreed for us to go through this transition, for there to be as little adverse impact as possible. Make sure that there is support, whether people need counseling, um, people need time off, where people need, they may choose not to have conversation with you, choose to speak with somebody else. Just allow that environment. Understand this, and this is something that was really beautiful when I finally woke up to this. As a leader, people don't necessarily want you to be the solution. They may not even want you to be the person they go to. They just need to make sure that you are creating an environment that allows them to access that support that they need. So please don't feel bad, don't take it personally, and don't act up if people seem to be pushing, because of course, being in leadership, people assume, you're living it up, and they have, the rotten end of the stick. And especially if leadership, including yourself and the organization, has tended to marginalize people. People are in the dark, just doing things, getting their pay, not quite sure what's happening. If this is the first time you're actually being truthful and you're being open, allow people to gravitate towards who they trust, but make sure that you have an understanding with them, that you brief them, that you make sure that who you have chosen and they have chosen and you have agreed with officially does communicate what is aligned with what has been agreed. Not that they're also veering people off another way or saying something different from what truly is. But I would say, as a leader yourself, get the support you need. Find out from a mentor how they've handled something similar. Get a coach that can help you coach your organization through transition. Get counseling if you need to, because this is being stressful. It's been months and months of going through, a tense situation, and you're at breaking point. It is important. Just because you're the leader, again, this I learned the hard way, just because you're the leader doesn't mean that you're supposed to be this stoic, immovable person. Even as you remain optimistic, even as you are resilient, that you're able to roll with the punches, that you're able to handle the vicissitudes of life, you're still human, and it's good for people to see that. You can be vulnerable without you seeming like you're your basket case and you're falling apart. Let people see you as a person, but as a person that has decided to stand until things are resolved. And they will follow what you're doing. How you are as a leader is how other people will be. I was just listening to Craig Groeschel, and he was talking about if you are not confident and if you are all over the place, that people feel like they can't trust you, people feel like they have no steward, they have no shepherd, they have no one over them who's helping them, no one is looking out for their interests because you yourself are falling apart. But it's healthy to say, I am uncertain, this is affecting me, it's affecting my family, this is hard. We built a team, we've had a good thing going, this is hard all around. It's important for you to communicate what you're going through as well. And to do it professionally, of course, to do it with healthy boundaries. So I'm looking to see if I have another point here. Yeah, I wanted to share those. And I'll just go back to them for the last time. Number one, be informed about the details of the situation. If you're about to give bad news to your team that, look, life has happened, we are under-resourced, we cannot continue business as usual, then you need to be very specific about what has happened, what is affected, to what extent, and what are the implications, whether they're relationally, they're operationally, reputationally, legally, what are the implications, who is going to be affected, to what extent, therefore what's going to happen. Number two, be honest about the situation and elicits their input on how to move on from there. So if you have broad strategies, maybe there are 3 things that you can do to get out of the situation, share them and ask for inputs on how that can be implemented. Number 3, take the action that you agreed to take in the time frame you agreed to. If you've agreed to take action, do it in the time frame and keep updating people. That's number 4. Communicate status updates fully, truthfully, and often. And number 5, make sure there's a support system both for you and your people as you're going through this, so that you don't have incidences of panic and mental illness and emotional health and breakdown as a consequence, because stress is real. It can really impact you if not managed well, and you're not necessarily going to be the expert for everything. You as a leader will create that environment of trust, the environment of stability, even in turmoil, environment of openness to progress, even through transition. That is your role. You don't necessarily have to be the solution, but you can be the constant, the confident, even as you are uncertain, and a leader that keeps their word to see their team all the way through, to see their organization all the way through, whatever that outcome may be. Allow them to see that I have done my utmost to make this as painless as possible, and from those efforts and that expertise support that we're able to get, this is how far we've come. And you would be surprised, there are times even when people are losing their jobs, if they can see that you went through these steps and you've given your all, that they will appreciate you and they will part with you in a good way. Whereas if you don't manage this change, this transition well, you would have adverse impact that's even far reaching than the current situation, because people felt that they were really not in the loop, or leadership, management didn't seem to care, didn't seem to support. And I want you to remember this as a leader. How you treat your people, even when you have to part with them, can make or break your leadership and organization reputation and bottom line, not just today, for ages to come. So be the leader that you would need if you were going through a transition and you were not sure about the outcome for you and your family tomorrow and the day after. All right, guys, about to share that just in case right now you are going through such a shaking in your organization. You're thinking, how do I communicate the fact that we don't have enough to continue as we used to? I pray that this video helps you. This is Modesta from Modesta.Africa. Please subscribe to Modesta.Africa on YouTube. Like, share, turn on notifications, because I want to bring these resources to help you as leaders through career, business, nonprofit, ministry leadership, so that you have the skills, you have the strategies, you have the tools, the resources that you need to lead well. I am on a quest to equip 100 million African leaders, and you are one of the 100 million that I truly believe are going to be the difference for our continent in this century. So whatever it is that you need to excel, I'm here to support you with that. Have a wonderful week, and I'll catch up with you on the next broadcast. Much love.